Greetings, flesh wound horror freaks, and welcome to another episode of Slashtober. I am Flesh Wound Dan, joined by producer Todd.
Good evening.
Pugs Dread.
Namaste.
And Mike Kruger.
Welcome
They're
to
returning.
Prime Time, bitch. Yeah, they're
Mike
returning.
Kruger.
Second time I had to leave the show this season, but
We didn't think we were getting you back this time.
yeah,
Well-
Todd bribed me to come back. And
I'm a good producer.
He also said Dan has a present for me next time we see each other. So
Nice.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Kruger, let them know how it works in case they're joining us late.
So what we do for our Slashtober special is rate and review a slasher film, and then at the end of the episode, we'll add that movie to a list compiled from our previous episodes, and then we will vote to eliminate one of those films off the list, leaving us with our top 3 slasher films, aka our 3 final girls. And those 3 final girls will go up against a new slasher every episode until we reach day 13. And when we get to that point, we will pick one of those surviving 3 final girls as our Slashtober tournament champion. So, Todd, now that that's out of the way, why don't you tell us our previous eliminations and what's on the menu tonight?
Thanks, Kruger. Eliminated thus far: Final Exam, Curtains, Terror at 10 Killer, Open House, Killing Spree, Crazy Lake, Scream, 1981, The Prey, Lover's Lane, Graduation Day, and Pickaxe. And we have our final girls are Death on Demand, Body Count, and Dr. Giggles. Entering the tournament tonight is American Nightmare. Dan, why don't you tell us about American Nightmare?
Absolutely. So American Nightmare is a 2002 film from director Jon Keeyes, who we'll talk about here in a minute. And in this one, it's Halloween night, and a radio DJ is asking listeners to phone in and share their deepest fears. But the airwaves are being stalked by a monster who targets callers, turning their worst nightmares into horrifying reality. It's the 1-year anniversary of the slaying of 4 students, and their killer is celebrating in Grand Guignol style by forcing a group of strangers into a hellish game of cat and mouse in American Nightmare. Cue Cody Rhodes music. I'm a huge Debbie Rochon fan, obviously, for many, many years. Always loved her. I was stoked when I heard that this Blu-ray was announced. Terror Vision is doing a lot from this era, which is still somewhat neglected. Jon Keeyes, if you're unfamiliar, this was actually his first feature film that he directed. He went on right after this to direct a personal favorite of mine and Todd's, I believe, Suburban Nightmare, which is amazing, which Debbie Rochon also helped write and produced.
He really likes nightmares. Right on.
Suburban Nightmare, Pugs, get on it if you haven't seen it. It's
Trent
really
Haga from Trauma fame also.
Yes. So this is sort of like the very tail end of the Scream craze in terms of Scream style slashers. It's got the meta dialogue at the beginning. It looks like we open in a coffee shop and it looks like it's Friends, the TV show. Because I haven't watched this in a long time, so I was having fun remembering certain things. This is one of those movies, most of it's not heavy on gore at all. Most of the kills are more the scenario and the idea of what's being done than anything else. The villains' motivations are kind of kept pretty ambiguous for the most part. It's not a movie that really over explains a lot, which may or may not be a good thing for you. This is elevated huge by Debbie Rochon. She is one of the best horror actresses of the last 20 years. Not always in winners in terms of the quality of the movies, but that lady can act her ass off, and she does comedy well with all of her trauma work. She can just do anything. and we don't see her enough in meaty roles. So this I do think is a meaty role. She is absolutely batshit in this movie. She gets lots of dialogue, and I had a lot of fun with it. This movie's gonna be maybe kind of dated for some people. And I freely admit Debbie Rochon is probably the main reason that I like this film, because a lot of those Scream wave slashers I'm not a big fan of. But I did enjoy this. Great antagonist. And it kind of, not the heaviest of Halloween vibes in terms of the aesthetic necessarily, but I like the radio angle. I thought it was a lot of fun. Not as good as Suburban Nightmare. Caligari, who's an actual Dallas area DJ, I believe. Chris Ryan, who played that role. Director also made a film called Hollow's End, which is that one's very Halloween-y in terms of its vibe. Costumes possessing everybody. It's kind of a ripoff, but that one's one to check out for Halloween season 2, Hollow's End from Jon Keeyes. Other than that, I mean, like I said, not a lot of gore. This does have some gratuitous nudity, which is always welcome. And it's fun. It may not be if you're not nostalgic for this era or Debbie Rochon in particular. This is one of her better roles, I think. Hot tag, whoever wants to go next.
Well, I didn't have a great time with this movie, like at all. I just characters I could care less about. The killer. I mean, I liked how things go in the last probably 25, 30 minutes, but the journey to get there was just a big ask for me, and not having good kills or any gore there for me either was kind of rough. The car scene was kind of cool, but outside of that, I didn't have a good time with this movie at all. Just not my type of slasher film, and definitely not anything I would recommend to anybody.
All right. I'm with Kruger. I think this was kind of lame. It doesn't really give that much. I had more fun with them talking about movies in the coffee shop in the beginning. I'm like, can we just hang here then? If you're not going to give me anything, let's go back. The radio guy was fun, Caligari. But yeah, it's just under okay for me. Like, I don't hate it that I watched it, because I don't know how this one got away from me, because I probably should have seen it back in the day. But it's there. It's a movie that exists, and I don't really care for it. So
I think if you would have saw it 20 years ago, you might have a little bit, more. Because it's funny watching this, because I know we were like, if this one got here in time, I was going to slide it in, kind of like the spot I was leaving. I was hoping for this to be more of a sleeper, and rewatching, I was like, yeah, this Kruger's not gonna. This is gonna, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I have always really liked it, and I still do. But I also get that, and there's zero nostalgia. I mean, you put it, you got a trauma person in there alone. That's gonna, but
trauma and googly eyes over here,
yeah. But I mean, it still is. I do think Suburban Nightmare is a much better film. I think you two will like that one. The premise alone, but I'm really glad this came out on Blu-ray. Even if it's not that high of definition, but it's it's a fun film. I mean, for me, I still have fun with it, but I see its flaws.
It's not for everybody, and like I said, for me, I'm a Debbie Rochon mark, and that adds to a lot of it, and a lot of my fun. BRINKE Stevens also in there in a small little role. He's got
double wood.
I want to see more from this era. That's what I really like that Terror Vision Films is doing. Debbie's made a lot of movies, stuff like Hell Block 13, which is an underrated trauma anthology. Bog Creatures, Blood Relic. There's a lot I'd like to see. 9/11 Slasher, The Deepening, that she made with Gunnar Hansen.
I don't think I've seen this. What the fuck?
It's a small indie. It's like a first responder that loses his mind, a firefighter. And
so does it take place on 9/11?
I think It does briefly.
Well, we'll find out in September when we watch it.
We better.
We'll
But yeah,
double
no,
it up with World Trade Center.
Nick Cage.
I figured I would be
The planes.
maybe the odd man out on this one, but $50,000 budget and a great antagonist. I do still like this one quite a bit. It wouldn't have worked, I think, with a lesser actress in that role. I always thought it would have been nice if they did a sequel. I would have liked to have seen more of Jane Toppin, the crazy nurse. So yeah, but Suburban Nightmare, watch it, guys, and double it up with Bloodletting from '97. Those two go together very well.
All right, well, I guess we should rate it before we vote. Kruger, what do you say?
1 out of 5.
I am a 1.5 out of 5.
I am a 3 out of 5.
I'm a 3.5 out of 5.
All right. Okay, time for some eliminating. Up for elimination is I gotta skip that one. Is Death on Demand, Body Count, Dr. Giggles, or American Nightmare? Kruger, what say you?
American Nightmare.
Pugs?
American Nightmare.
Dan?
Give it to me one more time. Sorry. Death on Demand.
Death
Body
on
Count.
Demand, Body Count, Dr. Giggles, and American Nightmare. If you'd like me to go first, I can.
Go if you want to go for it. I'm still thinking.
In this, well, it may make it easier for you. In this, because this is the slasher tournament, the one that sticks out to me is American Nightmare, as the least slasher of them. So for that reason alone, I gotta give my vote to that as going.
All right.
It's more psychological, so
It
that's
is.
fine. I was leaning towards Body Count or Dr. Giggles. Doesn't matter.
Well, obviously, you were going to choose the two you really like, Death on Demand, or it's like me voting Pickaxe off, sons of bitches. So,
Watch it.
Why
there's going to
not?
be you can't be mad now. It's gone. It's gone.
I honestly thought we were gonna have a fucking hazing situation where you and your hairless assholes were gonna cry about me fucking not liking this movie. So this is great.
I understand this one. I don't get the other one. I will say that. But you know the difference is one has Tiffany, one has Debbie. So it makes sense the ones who are because I'm going with that one. Yeah, so all makes sense.
Watch a Debbie Rochon film this evening. She's
Terror
so
Firmer it is.
She's hilarious in Terror Firmer.
Got a great golden shower.
I probably met her more times than just about anybody because she was always at the Fangoria Weekend of Horrors, and I was a Fangoria radio mark back in the day. So yeah.
See, and I always had Tiffany at ours because it's California, and that's where so it makes sense.
Yeah.
So all right. So one more left. No one's bleeding. No one's hurt, but we're not done yet.
We'll see how the next one goes.
Yeah. And crowning our champion.
We will see. Don't miss.
Probably gonna get rough.
Tomorrow.
Don't miss the final chapter, the biggest body count of all.
All right. Well, Dan.
Later, guys.
Good evening.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Check your candy. I'll see you in Disneyland.